In Shenzhen now, it's completely where women are chasing men. Can you imagine? It's a 1-to-9 ratio with 9 women standing behind every one man. Even if you're over 30 and divorced, as long as you're reliable, have a stable job, and want a peaceful life, you'll immediately become a hot commodity. But what about women? After 30, basically no one actively asks them out. That's how cruel reality is. Shenzhen's older single women are reaching their breaking point, with some even. Recently, we've seen a surge in Shenzhen girls signing up for matchmaking events. Many have explicitly stated that they don't want a bridal gift or a house car from the man. Even more surprisingly, some girls say they won't ask anything from the man if he's willing to marry them. They'd even provide an apartment in Shenzhen. I'm truly baffled. What's going on? Have they suddenly lost their minds? In the fast-paced city of Shenzhen, the marriage market is quietly changing. According to the latest data, the number of older unmarried women in Shenzhen has exceeded 1.79 million. So, why are more and more outstanding women unable to get married in a city full of opportunities? The older single women in Shenzhen generally possess high levels of education, high income, and high professional achievements. These women are economically independent and have stable lives, hoping their partners are no less than themselves in terms of education, income, and values. However, the pool of high-quality men in Shenzhen is relatively limited. Many women dedicate themselves fully to their careers, neglecting their romantic lives. Over time, they miss their prime dating years and find themselves in a too good for some, too bad for others situation. Shenzhen is gradually becoming the capital of leftover women. Older single women are devastated. Why are men so picky these days? A 36-year-old woman contacted me saying she recently started dating a boyfriend. During their first meeting, she told him she could cook and was quite good at it. The man immediately said, "You're too old." She then said she could drive and do housework, but the man still said she was too old. She said she would be very domestic and would do all the housework. The man said, "You're still too old." The woman immediately broke down, feeling very hurt. The blogger says that nowadays men would rather marry a woman in her 20s even if she only earns $420 a month than marry a capable older single woman. Why has Shenzhen become the capital of leftover women? Because 90% of the women who come to the matchmaking market are over 30. A woman who came to me for a one-on-one consultations told me that she goes to the Lianhua Shan matchmaking corner almost every weekend but hasn't found anyone. I said, "Are your expectations too high?" She said, "Just a living man who doesn't mind my age. What more could I ask for?" I said, "With such a down-to-earth requirements, you shouldn't have trouble finding someone. Aren't your conditions good enough?" After chatting, I learned she's 39 years old, a partner in a brand planning company, has a master's degree, owns a car and a condo, and earns $60,000 a year. The blogger said this woman is still single at such an age because when she was younger, she felt that as a graduate of a top university with a good job and income, her standards for men were quite high. She hoped her partner would have a master's degree or higher, own a car and a condo in Shenzhen, and earn around $110,000 a year. After dating for 2 or 3 years, she realized that most men who met these requirements were already married. The few high-quality men in the dating market don't care about a woman's job. Lowered her standards, suitable men were still few and far between. She said she now deeply regrets missing her prime marriageable age. Therefore, the blogger reminds all women who want to get married to make choices early, while they are at their most advantageous age. What's it like to attend a matchmaking event for someone with $2.8 million in assets? A lady recently spent $140 in Shenzhen to attend such an event, which lasted 3 hours. Many women are probably wondering if they can meet a high-quality man at such an event. Is it worth the money? This girl shared her experience. There were about 30 people at the event, roughly half men and half women. Regarding the quality of the guests, I felt that 2 or 3 were genuinely wealthy, with assets possibly in the tens of millions of RMB, and owned companies. Others seemed to be more overstated. My biggest impression was that all the male guests were quite old. There were probably only 4 or 5 born in the 90s, and most were over 35, which was a significant age difference from mine. Half of the female guests also seemed to be over 35. It was rare to see someone like me in my 20s. The blogger mentioned that the event was held at a private club. She researched for this private club on Meituan, and the average cost per person was around $280. indicating a relatively high-end venue. The basic event flowed from there, a meal, and the food was indeed quite good. After introductions and some chatting, people moved to different tables for activities, and then the event ended rather abruptly. She had previously attended a $20 matchmaking event where many men added her on WeChat and chatted afterward. However, at this event, the men weren't as proactive in asking for her WeChat. Even if they added her, they wouldn't chat. Everyone seemed busy, and their time was precious. The blogger advised that if you're looking for a marriage partner, this event might not be suitable. The men were older and not particularly attractive. They might be less proactive towards the women because of their financial situation. Why are older single women anxious while older single men aren't? I've been a matchmaker in Shenzhen for 5 years, and I'll tell you the truth. Women aged 22 to 28 have an advantage in the marriage market. They can choose freely. But once they pass 30, their market value drops drastically. By 35, even if you earn $1,000,000 a year, own a condo and a car, in men's eyes, you become less desirable, let alone having specific requirements. If they want to find a decent, down-to-earth man, they have to pay extra. But for men, 28 to 35 is their golden age for appreciation. The blogger says that successful 35-year-old men are often pursued by women. They don't need to rush at all. The marriage market is inherently unequal. A woman's capital is youth, while a man's capital is accumulated wealth. Which one can withstand the test of time? In Shenzhen, older single women are increasingly panicked because they find their pace of compromise can't keep up with their rate of devaluation. I just met a woman born in 1987 at the matchmaking corner, and she told me this. She said she's been on nearly 30 blind dates, and even though she's lowered her standards again and again, she's always been rejected. Thinking back to when she first graduated, she was focused on her career, rejecting all the men who pursued her. After 5 years of hard work, she finally climbed to a senior management position, and now at 29, everyone around her tells her it's time to get married. The blogger said she felt she was a good catch and should find a man with better prospects, but before she knew it, she was well into her 30s. She suddenly realized that no one was interested and started actively going on blind dates, but found it difficult to find someone suitable. Are you a college graduate? Yes. What are your requirements for a partner? I'd like him to be at least 170 centimeters tall. How tall are you? I'm 164.5 centimeters. Very precise, equivalent to 165 centimeters. If he's over 170 centimeters, what about his annual salary? I don't have any specific requirements for annual salary, just that he owns a car in Xiamen or has the ability to buy one. Do you have any requirements for his job? It doesn't matter, just that he can spend more time at home each month and needs to be family-oriented. Matchmaker's sister Shi shared that a 36-year-old man actually complained that a 33-year-old woman was too old during a blind date. This guy is an IT professional with good overall qualities, a stable job, and an annual salary of $80,000. He's just too busy with work, which has delayed his dating life. Now, his younger brother's 2 children are already in elementary school, so he's starting to get anxious and wants to find a suitable woman to marry and have children with as soon as possible. This woman was born in 1992, is also unmarried, has decent looks, and good overall qualities. However, when she was introduced to the guy, he immediately refused, saying that women born in 1992 are too old. He doesn't want her, he only wants women born in 1995. I finally understand why the Shenzhen dating market no longer accepts 35-year-old women. I recently met a single woman born in 1986, and honestly, I get a headache just looking at her. She said she's been on over 80 blind dates and still hasn't found the right one. When I encounter this kind of woman, my first question is always, do you accept divorced men? Basically, 99% of them answer, I'm single, so I definitely want to find someone unmarried, unless the man is exceptionally well off. What does exceptionally well off mean? Basically, it means a family in Shenzhen with a condo and a car, financial freedom, and the ability to afford a nanny. The blogger says that in the Shenzhen dating market, there are indeed divorced men and men with exceptionally good financial conditions, but almost none who are both divorced and exceptionally well off, because these men generally don't divorce. After all, their wives aren't stupid, they've struggled alongside them for half their lives, and after finally achieving success, how could they easily give up their position to someone else? Even if such a person were divorced, they would most likely remarry quickly. So why would they participate in a blind date?
睡前
A few thoughts before bed. I'm almost 38, and I think finding a partner at this age is incredibly difficult. If you're looking for someone your age and they haven't been married, basically, I can't say absolutely. They almost always have some flaws. Either their conditions are too poor, or they lack the capacity to love, or they simply don't want to get married. That's why they're over 35 and still unmarried. This blogger says that if they're divorced, they almost always have children. If someone has children and is still divorced, then that person is very irresponsible towards their children. The blogger thinks that being single at her age sometimes affects her mood. She might wonder, what am I working so hard to earn money for? The life wouldn't cost much, and she had no husband or children. She believed that the meaning of marriage wasn't about extracting emotional value from the other person, but about having a stable haven for one's heart. You know someone cares about you, you can share your joys and sorrows with them. After work, you can peacefully read or watch TV without having to attend those inefficient and awkward blind dates. Therefore, she felt it was better to settle down and get married sooner rather than later. No wonder there's such a problem with single women in their late 20s and early 30s in Hangzhou. 99% of parents were from girls' families. 90% of the profiles were from women born between 1990 and 1995. These women I looked at all had excellent qualifications: doctors, government employees, and accountants. Many of them came from well-off families, their parents had pensions, and they owned condos and cars. Basically, aside from being a bit older, there's really nothing wrong with them. You might wonder why so many excellent women are still single. The blogger says these single women all want men who are over 175 centimeters tall, own a car and a fully paid condo in Hangzhou, earn over $40,000 annually, have a good personality and temperament, and have no bad habits, etc. To be honest, these requirements aren't particularly high on their own, and they do match the women's own circumstances. But the problem is that men who can simultaneously meet all these conditions are extremely rare. The current state of matchmaking corner in Shenyang is truly outrageous. The era of simp is over. Now there are over 1 million single women, mostly born in the 1980s. High-quality women are all desperate. Even when they actively try to talk to men, they are met with picky rejections. If they don't take the initiative, no one will even notice them. They have no chance at all. Pan Tianhong, the 29-year-old founder of Film Hurricane in mainland China, recently went to a matchmaking corner in Hangzhou, Zhejiang, at the suggestion of his fans to try and market himself. Despite his company's annual revenue exceeding 14 million, he faced repeated rejections, sparking heated discussions among netizens. In the video released by Film Hurricane, Pan Tianhong appeared at the matchmaking corner, showcasing his resume. Junior high school education in China, divorced and single. His father works in the courier industry and his mother takes care of the family. In terms of his profession, he listed himself as a photographer related to film production. He also attached a casual photo to his resume showing him with his hands supporting his chin, hoping to find a like-minded partner. However, the response at the event was less than ideal. Several aunties expressed their dissatisfaction after reviewing his information, jokingly commenting on his low education level and being divorced at such a young age, creating a slightly awkward yet humorous atmosphere. In fact, while Pan Tianhong filled in accurate information in his resume, he intentionally downplayed some key background details. For example, his resume stated his father's profession was related to express delivery, but his father, Pan Shui Miao, is actually the president of YTO Express. He himself only has a junior high school education in China because he went abroad to study after graduating from junior high school, eventually obtaining a master's degree in film from the University of Kent in the UK. He described himself as a photographer, but he is actually the founder of Film Hurricane, operating channels and publishing his work on multiple domestic and international platforms. In a public interview this October, he revealed that his company's revenue last year exceeded 14 million. The video of his failed blind date quickly sparked heated discussions online. Some netizens laughed, saying, "It's hilarious, and the most valuable man in the blind date market was missed by the aunties." However, many netizens questioned his actions, believing he deliberately withheld key information, making fun of ordinary people, and the aunties genuinely came to find a future son-in-law, but he was just fooling them. In response to the controversy, Pan Tianhong explained in a video on November 15th that the filming stemmed from a suggestion from a netizen to go to the matchmaking corner. He had just mentioned in answering a question that resumes in the wedding industry require a unique understanding, so he filmed it. At the end of the video, he humorously added, "I'm really not a bad person." That's all for today. If